Q Prime recognized that, hey, it's going to be really hard to reproduce this video that got us so much attention. So we just, we made the decision that, what, let's just stick with the demo version and the video that we made ourselves. So, but the album itself was, recorded. It was produced by George Nicolia, who had just done the first Black Crowes album, and it was like a big budget production. But it's funny because the demo that we made for very little money stands up very well to the $200,000 recording budget, that the album.
Right, because I would have had no idea watching the video and then listen to the song that they were not the same.
Yeah, they're two different versions. Like it's pretty. You can tell if you listen, but it really, some people have mentioned it to me over the years, but it's it's a totally different version from what's actually on the album.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely after the show go back and listen to that. That's definitely interesting. It's amazing what you find out. I mean, I've been a fan of you guys since the album came out. Those were my MTV days. I mean, and just the fact that you guys were from Long Island, Queens at that time, made it that much, I was in the music scene as well back then, but I used to love playing the CD. I used to sing. My father's nickname was Buzz. So...
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I used to bust his balls, and I would go, Buzz, 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 when he comes walking by. So I have a history there with the music. But do you guys know how many CDs you sold back then? I really don't know exactly what the number was. It was like a few 100,000. It wasn't enough to go gold. But it was something like that. And, those numbers kind of varied depending who you ask. Right.
But we did move a lot of those back in the 90s. Those sold really well.
And they don't offer. That was a question people I see ask a lot because I got to do a little research on the band before I talk to you guys. So finding out that the first album really isn't available for sale, like digitally.
No. That's the biggest, that's the biggest tragedy of the whole thing is that that's, our most popular contribution to the music scene, and it's just not available. And we really have not had any success getting that straightened out so far. So, we have been taught, one of the ideas was that we might just re-record the album. But we'd really like to get that original album masters back. It's just that Elektra really doesn't exist anymore. And basically the whole Warner catalog was sold off. So just trying to track down the rights. And, at some point the rights revert back to us, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to track that down. That's really a shame. I mean,
it can be tracked down. It's just that technically you have to buy back your masters, but
right.
And that's a lot of money. But at some point, the rights revert back to the artist. So,
have you ever thought about putting out a live album, maybe to compensate for that?
We've talked about a few things, and one of the ideas was sort of like to kind of get a lot of these older, like again, we have the old demos, and the reality is that like I said, the video version of Apple Pie, that we recorded that,
Right. So
we could always remaster that, and we on that demo that we did Buzz and Judge Me Do. And I can't remember what, SDASD, I think is the other one.
Yeah.
And so we have those four, we sort of have, live recordings and stuff. So one of the ideas was maybe to put together some kind of package, with rare, unreleased stuff and B-sides and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's something we actually have been talking about recently. So that's one way around it. But we really want to get, kind of trying to exhaust all possibilities of getting the actual first album back out. Because, you know, if we re-record it or whatever, it's never going to be exactly the same. And I know a lot of people would like to be able to get, you know, the actual recording. So we're working on it, but it's not easy.
I mean, worst case scenario, like I know I have it on CD somewhere.
Yeah.
I definitely have it on tape because that's how I used to play it in my car every day.
Yeah.
But worst case scenario, if someone's interested in buying it, I mean, there's always eBay. I've seen them on there, so there you can probably get them for like $11
people are
or
really
whatever.
looking. Yeah, it's out there. I mean, you can get it on Amazon and stuff. It's just they're used copies, and
right.
You know, so I mean, it is available. You can get it, but you know, it'd be cool to give it a proper re-release and
right.
and you know, remaster everything, kind of, you know. Do it the right way. But, you know, for anybody who wants it, you can find it. It's out there. And, you know, and you can get it on Amazon for like 99 cents. I mean, the shipping's probably $5, but, you know.
Right.
But the bigger problem really is a lot of people like to download music, and it's just not available in that form. And
right.
You know, that's you know, you can get a CD, you know, you can put it into iTunes and, you know, make your own MP3s out of it. But, you know, for people who just like iTunes and the ease of digital downloads, you know, that's where, you know.
Right. Well, that's more our era where, I mean, I still buy CDs, so it's really the kids that are new to it today or people who just don't want to have clutter, I mean, aren't going to buy CDs anymore when you can just go on. But to me, I still got to have the CD, so.
Yeah, I like having the CD myself. So.
Was 3D Monkeys in Space, was there physical copies for that? Because I looked and so you did have them out there. That one seems really hard to find a physical copy.
We actually have some of those. We actually have. We're able to order through Amazon. I got to look into that. One of the things, the actual printing of the new album got delayed a little bit because we decided to redo the mastering. So that's coming really soon. We just finished the mastering. But we're going to be selling them also through, Aaron has a music production company, and it's kind of like our label. And we're going to be selling the CD through there. And one thing we're going to probably do, at least for a limited amount of time, is if you buy the new CD, we're going to give out copies of 3D Monkeys in Space as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's definitely cool. So
we have those. You know, it's just the first two albums that we don't have a lot of control over right now, which is unfortunate. But 3D Monkeys in Space and the new one, Suburban Purgatory, you know, you can get from us, and you know, should be available on iTunes and you know, Spotify and through us. So it'll be out there.
Are you guys planning to shop it to labels, or are you just going to stick with, you know, his label, his production of it?
I mean, we did everything on this album, you know, ourselves. And we're always, you know, anybody, you know, that's interested in the product, we talk to people, and, you know, there's a few potential things going on. But, you know, it's really for us at this point in time, because you can do everything yourself, we sort of really like that we're not, you know, 1,000% dependent on having a label or anything. But obviously the distribution of some labels and stuff would be helpful.
Right.
So, but we're, you know, in the old days, you just wanted to get a record deal, you know, and now you don't really need one, you know, and again, we do have some notoriety just because we did, you know, have a period in time where we were pretty popular. So,
right. So, yeah.
We're doing a lot of it ourselves, you know, grassroots, and it's not really about making, like, money off of this or anything. We just really, truly enjoy playing with each other, and, you know, there was a long time where we didn't play or really talk to each other, and I think, you know, at this point in our lives, we sort of realized that, you know, not everybody gets to do this, and you know, it's just stupid, you know, to let some stuff get in the way. So, we kind of do it for the music and the love of it at this point. And if more, comes out of it, that's amazing. But that's really our where we're coming from.
Right. At least you get to retain your rights to everything. So, and with bands coming up today, you kind of almost need some type of label to present yourself to an audience. Like you guys, I mean, you put out albums, you have a fan base. It's like you said, it's a little easier. You got to kind of get through and cut through most of the bullshit that's out there. 'Cause I mean, it's so flooded. I mean, every day the requests and the emails to come on the show, it's like, I don't know. A lot of it you can't even play. I mean, it's not worth even playing. It's not interesting enough. It's
Yeah, well, that's one thing I hate is that there's a big change in the scene itself where bands have to pay to play, and I just think that's like outrageous. Definitely wasn't the way it was, and it's kind of weird because we've played shows where you find out the people opening for you basically paid for the opening spot,
Right.
Like they had to pre-sell tickets, and I get that people do that, but that's really one of the worst things going on in the music scene because it really completely screws up the whole vibe that you're trying to create. Because people got to coerce their friends, and it's not like you're necessarily playing with the best acts to be playing with all the time. It's just the guys who are willing to pay to play with you, and some of them are good. But I'm just saying.
Right.
It's just not the right way to do it. I kind of question promoters that work that way because it's really like, well, how much thought are you really putting into this? How much promoting are you doing when you tell the band they have to bring everybody? You know what I mean? It's not the way it used to be. And that's why it's hard for bands, to just get the opportunities because, people aren't necessarily just hanging out at the venue, the way people used to.
Right. So, I mean, you could go to a club back in the day and play, and not many people would know who you are, but the club is packed, and that's why you were playing there. And that was the point. There was a scene, and you work your way into the scene, you play your dues, and then, if you hang around long enough and you're good at what you do, you're going to get your shots, and just the way it is now. I mean, I just, again, I understand there's another side to it, but I mean, to me, if you can't promote a gig without getting the bands to fork up money, then you're a shit promoter, in my opinion, and you're really, not adding anything to the music scene. That's the wrong way to do it. Yeah. But that's what it is, and I'm from a different era, so right.
I don't want to go too crazy on that. But the other thing, like you said, it's just, the market is flooded, and people have to pay for everything. So, it's great that people can make albums in their basement. But, the whole distribution and getting the stuff out there and being heard and the publicity, it's very hard. There's not a lot of stations playing new music, and you don't have things like MTV, even though there were issues with that back in the day too. And you don't really have a scene that's that active, so it's tough, man. I mean, but people do it because they love to play music, and that's why you got to do it. You just nowadays, if you want to do it, you got to just play everywhere you can possibly play, and just push yourself relentlessly.
Yeah, and just get the name out there, because this comes up on the show, I would say, with almost every guest with this pay-to-play thing. I've only done it once, and that was we did a show with a band, and they didn't even sell any tickets themselves. I mean, their crowd was so weak. They played before us, so our crowd wouldn't leave on. Oh, it was a nightmare. I would never do it. Never, ever again. And we we got rid of 100 tickets. Some of them I gave away, but we still, it was terrible. Then the band didn't even take their equipment down. It was just miserable. I have no respect for that whole pay-to-play thing. I mean, some people are successful with it, but you're 100% right. You're not playing with always the best band. You could be playing with anybody, just anybody who's willing to take those tickets and and
Yeah.
disperse them because you're in debt to that